the more you can build value in, the better it is for you and for all your employees and so on, right? And if you do want to sell, this helps you structure your business in a way that you can get maximum dollars for it.
Hey, Victoria, glad to have you with me today.
Hey, Spencer, I appreciate you having me on. It's great to be on your show. Good stuff. Thanks. You always do.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like it's been a long while since you've been on the show. I think it might go all the way back to like episode 3 or something like that.
Boy, so, oh boy! And yeah, now, where are you up to? How many episodes have you done, Spencer? Do you know?
We're over 150, so somewhere in that range. But yeah, I'm glad to have you back, and we'll be at your event soon, so we'll talk about that. But I kind of just wanted to talk to you about kind of like a little bit state of the industry. You talk to remodelers all over the country, you know, every week, and I feel like you have kind of that macro global view. What's the last 18-month whirlwind been like, you know, from your perspective?
You know, it's for many angles, really good for a lot of people. Of course, at the beginning, no one knew, right? We were all waiting for the other shoe to drop, close down businesses, and you know, the various states and all that. And it seemed like every state was dealing with something a little bit different. And you know, as we really ramped up the reach out to our members at the beginning of the whole thing. So we were talking to people all over the country, and as COVID started to come from different areas, the people that it hadn't yet affected were learning what to do to prepare ahead of it. So that was awesome. So there's just some really good information being passed around. I mean, we were talking, as all of our roundtable groups were talking weekly at the beginning. And it ended up then, you know, once the worst of the beginning was over, I had numerous members say that 2020 was one of the best years they'd ever had. Yep. What about you? Are you seeing the same thing?
Yep, same thing. Yeah, it was like that 45-minute or 45-day pause where everyone was just like, what's going on? And I mean, sales just screeched to a halt. I mean, I was talking to a few people and they're like, yeah, we're just going to sit and wait. We just had 3 things fall through. You know, we don't know what's going on. But then, yeah, it just was like, then it was like a rocket ship and everything just took off. Yeah. Pretty fascinating.
That was great. You know, great to hear. I mean, who would have thought? And then a lot of, you know, PPP helped out a lot of those folks who were maybe not having quite as stellar of a year. So that was a big plus for a lot of companies.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like the ones that were in a decent spot, they just cruised by after that 45, 60 days. And then, yeah, you're right. There was assistance and that helped some people that maybe weren't quite there. Now that we're kind of through all of 2020 and we're into 2021, it felt like a lot of that momentum carried. I'm hearing a little bit of like stuff kind of falling through here just in the last maybe like 30 days, and like a summer slump, maybe just leads slowing down. But most people are still booked for a while because it's just been so much pressure. But I'm curious, have you seen a change from kind of like, you know, the heat of 2020 into now?
You know, I am not seeing much of a downturn with our members. Now, I did 3 different group calls this week, and the backlog ranged from through October. Okay, so it's August now, right? Through October, all the way to some that are through April of 2022. So everybody's growing their backlog. So I'm not here. I hear every once in a while a comment about leads might be slowing, but one company in one of the groups this week told me that in 2020, they had 90 total leads. In 2022 through July, they had 170.
Wow.
Right? Another company jumped from like 500 leads to it. They were already at 888 leads for the year. They're just flying in the door. So now the problem has shifted, and now it's, you know, for a while there, then it was how do you get the work done, and now it's how do you get the frickin' supplies?
Yep.
I'm hearing cabinet orders. A lot of the, you know, somebody told me their top 3 cabinet companies all extended the lead time to 26 weeks.
Wow.
You know, how do you manage that? All this stuff is so unknown. you know, you've been in the industry a long time. I've been in this industry for over 30 years now, and I've never seen this particular challenge.
Yeah, yeah, the whole supply chain thing and yeah, supplies. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's any one isolated thing either. It's stone,
Right.
it's cabinets, it's lumber, it's
Yeah.
tile, it's copper, it's
Plywood.
it's
Yeah,
all
it's
the
just
things. Yeah,
right,
so even
right.
if you feel like you solve a couple problems with a couple suppliers, then something else pops up. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm.
so what advice are you giving, or what are you guys kind of talking about in your groups around that? Is it just client expectation setting, or are there other
Pretty
things you
much
can
it's
do?
client expectation setting and in a big way, a continual communication about what's happening, even if it's nothing. So yeah, it's really managing the clients. There's so much of this in the news that I think with a little prompting, most clients, prospects, they understand what's going
Yeah.
on, and it's out of the control of the remodeler. Um, so yeah, it's just that and just tracking and being really careful about starting jobs without supplies on
Mhm.
hand, because you could get stuck, and that would certainly not be good for a client relationship. Getting creative about how you can build and deal with it, like appliances. A number of people were talking about getting not the exact appliances they wanted, any appliances, stick any appliances in that would fit until the good ones, the ones they ordered, came in. That sort of, they're just trying to be as creative as you can. But cabinets and windows right now seem to be the really bad ones, and it seems pretty darn difficult to start a project unless you have those on hand.
Yeah, and that's something that I kind of wanted was curious to get your thoughts on, because as I've been thinking about that, I'm going, okay, like great to have all this demand pressure on projects. Now you have supply chain issues, and so I feel like to try to get the same revenue booked in a
Yeah.
12-month time span, now everything's getting pushed. So
Right.
do you have to take on more projects than you think you can actually manage, knowing that lots will get stuck in various stages? Or but you don't want to get, I mean, it just seems tricky. So I'm curious to get your thoughts
Very
on that.
tricky. It's very tricky. So, I mean, right now we're all in a bit of an unknown area. So it's being as monitoring things as closely as you possibly can, setting in those expectations. So somebody just wrote an email about the fact that cash flow is going to be severely interrupted here, because if you can't produce it, you don't get the draws. So what do you do? And a couple of the folks answered that this is a prime example of why one needs that 4 to 6 months overhead in liquidity, cash stashed somewhere to use at exactly these times. So one of the conversations we're having now are people are going, we originally planned for 4 million, but we're heading to 6. I'm like, how are you going to produce 6
Yeah.
if you can't get these materials? So you better develop a plan B and not go too crazy, because you could end up producing 1 million less than you had hoped.
Yep.
Because what do you do?
Yeah, and no, that's and I love that you mentioned having the cash on hand. I always go back to, I recorded a episode with my uncles, and they were talking about the Great Recession, and they went into it with 24 months operating in cash.
Oh,
And he said
wow.
they
Good
burned
for
through
them.
every dollar, but it allowed them to survive, and they made it
Right.
through. And obviously right now, like the demand is there, so you probably don't need 24 months, but you do need some, 4 6,
Yeah,
whatever it is. And I think people during the good times, they forget about that, and you realize there's other problems that might lead to you needing cash other than
that's
we
right.
don't have enough work. So
Right.
I feel like that
Right.
message is always true. You always need cash on hand. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah,
For sure.
it's wild.
Mhm.
So anything, we'll transition here in a minute because I want to talk about your event coming up, but anything that people should be doing now? I always like to zoom out and just think, okay, like we're in the weeds of it now, we're in the thick of it, there's all these challenges we're trying to navigate. But if I can just take a breath, zoom out, and fast forward 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, like, are there things people should be focusing on that you think that will set them up, knowing that so much is unknown? We don't know what the future looks like.
Well, something that you'd probably be happy to hear me say is that I definitely think that people should continue to invest in marketing through this from now through. I'm doing a program up at JLC this weekend about that, why you should continue to market now. And one of the slides talks about marketing is like food. It's not like medicine. You don't take it when you need it. It's food. You need it all the time, every day to continue. There's so many reasons to keep up a strong marketing program. Might not be lead gen exactly, but there's so many ways to invest in marketing that would make sense right now. So that's one thing. Another thing, it's a little bit more now than 6-8 months out, is to really pay attention to your employees. We know that it's very difficult to find new employees right now. That does not negate the need to release someone to the community if they're not a good fit, right?
Sure.
But it does say that if you've got good people, you want them to stay with you. And we're hearing a lot about burnout. Everybody's been working so hard, and there's so much pressure on the production managers and the lead carpenters and the project managers to crank out that work as fast as they can, that we're starting to deal with, seeing all these people deal with burnout and people leaving the profession, leaving companies because they just can't take the pressure for that long. So any way that you can get assistance, always keeping an eye on the budget, but any way you can get assistance, whether it's interns or whether it's outsourcing things that you, the owner, are doing that would release you to help the production team or any aspect of your company, but just keep an eye on that pressure internally.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice because, I mean, and you're seeing that in other industries too. It's just really tough to keep people on right now, and I think combination of variables there. But that's good advice. And obviously, I always love to hear that you should be marketing, but I believe it, and I've seen it, when you market when things are good, it sets you up for the low times, and when you continue to market during the low times, when it gets good, you reap the benefits. So
no
you
doubt. It's
just
like
keep it
it's
rolling.
food.
Yep, exactly. And I'm a big eater, so all right, well, let's talk about Summit coming up. I guess what's the scoop? Like, what do you guys have planned for this year? When is it?
Well, Summit is part of what we call Remodeling Excellence Week. So this time it's going to be in Arizona in Phoenix at the Arizona Grand Resort and Spa. And I believe strongly in a couple of things. One is building one's network, right? Which is something over the last 30 years that I've really focused a lot on, building those relationships and building a network. So the Summit is certainly about that, to bring our members together with other non-members, people from all parts of the industry, to build and expand their network and their resources. Another thing I really believe strongly in is that business management is business management is business management, right? To a great degree, whether you're running a dentist office or a remodeling company or a print shop or a marketing company, you have to manage people. You have to know how to manage people. So we like to bring in resources from outside of our industry to sort of shine the light on business management tactics and strategies from different angles. So this time we have 3 really good keynote speakers in addition to the 3 tracks, which I'll touch on in a minute. But one of them is Afterburner, which is a team of fighter pilots who are going to be coming in and sharing their ideas and strategies for building strong teams and leadership. And that's going to just be exciting. And they're just so well known around the world as being superior performers, and they're going to share how that happens with their audience. I'm very excited about that.
That's cool. Yeah.
And then the lunchtime keynote is one of the Rich Dad, Poor Dad advisors. He focuses on tax, building wealth while paying your fair share of taxes, using strategies to leverage that. Again, you being a money guy, I mean, you're into that from all sorts of angles. That has to be pretty appealing too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And who is it that's, can you say, or?
Tom Wheelwright.
Oh yeah, yeah. I follow his stuff, and yeah,
Oh, good.
some of it I
So
feel like I've heard him say certain things several times, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to actually
really,
execute on it. But yeah, I mean, he knows his stuff, and I mean, as a business owner, and then if you are involved in other things like real estate, like he's got some good stuff. So
mhm.
yeah, I'm excited to do that. Well, what are your favorite parts of these events? I know you've been putting them on and hosting them for a while.
Well, there's a couple. This year we've got 3 different tracks. One is we have 2 of our folks, Doug Howard and Steve Wheeler, who are currently certified value builder consultants. Value Builder is an organization that was created by I'm gonna have a moment here. I can see his face. Gonna have to do some editing around this piece.
No worries.
Golly, he's the author of Built to Sell. And we've
Oh
had him
yeah,
on Warlow.
John. Yep.
What's this? John Warlow, right.
Yep.
Okay. So one of the tracks is built around the value builder process that John Warlow built and discusses in his book, Built to Sell. Now, he's been a speaker at a number of our events, and we're taking the modules that go into building a high value business and presenting those in one of the tracks. Whether you want to sell your business someday or not, the more you can build value in, the better it is for you and for all your employees and so on, right? And if you do want to sell, this helps you structure your business in a way that you can get maximum dollars for it. So that's one of the tracks. The second track is on production efficiencies, led by, of course, our production guru, Tim Fowler. But he's brought in a bunch of our members, the production pros, and all the various roundtable companies from across the country. He's got a number of them presenting their way of doing things, how to work with subs, what's the difference, what's better, project managers or lead carpenters, or is it using all subs or in-house labor? A lot of discussions around that and presentations. And the third one is around just business management in general. Mark Harari is going to be doing a program based on his new book, Lobster on Cheese Plate. And then Tanya Bamford from RA Marketing is going to be doing a program as well, and a number of other presentations on other aspects of business management. David Pollard with Live Design in Chicago is going to be doing a program on using design as a differentiator. So that's going to be great. So those are the 3 main tracks. But I got to tell you, my favorite part is we have these little informal sessions called Ask Anything, where top members have a topic in mind, but then they're in a place that's very accessible. People can gather around, and it's basically, you can ask them anything. You can ask these people anything about anything, and you can have great conversations. And it's so exciting to see just, 20, 30 people gathered around one of these pros that just talking about all sorts of things that are hot topics at the time. So that's always a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then just the fun stuff besides that.
Yeah, the after events and stuff.
Yes.
What I've found is whenever you go to these, you end up, like, the sessions are always really good and you come out with some takeaways, but then it's those, like, the Ask Anything or those little side discussions that you have, and you kind of get in the weeds on something and you're like, oh, and you just get exposure to other ideas that,
right.
You look at your own business a little differently. And I mean, just one idea can change everything.
You're right. Yeah, I've had people say, hey, that was a $10,000 idea right there that I just got from that meeting. Like, woohoo,
Yeah. And then over a lifetime, it ends up being a lot more than that. So we're definitely excited. We'll be down there as well, hanging out with you guys. But I guess I'm always curious too with these events. What's the best way to, like, get the most out of it if somebody is attending?
Well, get some sleep, eat right, have some energy about you, and take advantage of the opportunities. I think that, I like all conferences, right? I'm about continual learning, and I'm always enjoying going to conferences and so on. But I tend to be someone who is a bit social, right? So I like shaking hands and networking and talking to people and going to sessions and all that stuff. Not everybody is like that. But either, although you raised your hand that you're not, but you do a very good job at it.
Yeah,
So
I'm an introvert converted a little bit. So
yes, you've overcome your introversion, I'd say quite well. That's what I'd suggest is push yourself to interact. At our sessions, and I know at most conferences, but ours in particular, we set it up. I mean, we tell people this is about networking, this is about sharing, this is about talking to your peers. Everybody's ready to do that, ready to rock and roll. They want to have conversations. So anytime you sit down in a session, you're next to somebody, introduce yourself, find out more about them, be involved, sit up front at the sessions and ask questions. Take advantage of, the luncheons and the people, the sponsors that are going to be there, because they have such different perspectives on things than many of we small business owners, just even if you're an introvert, try to push yourself to take advantage of all those opportunities.
yeah, yeah, it's good advice. And usually, if you see somebody that's just sitting at a table having breakfast and you just sit down, they're actually hoping somebody will come up
That's
and
right.
talk to
That's
them. So
right.
just go
Exactly
for
right.
it. Yeah.
Yes, for
Well,
sure.
cool. Well, if people, aren't registered yet and they want to learn more, where's a good place to go register and
They would go
come
to
join?
remodelersummit.com, and all the information they need is there. And in addition to the great content, we're also having a couple of golf outings, golf events. So we'd love people to
Right
join
on.
us for that, as well as to have a little bit of fun in the Arizona desert.
Yep, that's a good place to go golfing for sure.
Yes.
Well, very cool. Well, then, yeah, we'll definitely link that up in the show notes. I highly recommend if you guys are listening, if you haven't been before, or if you have, I don't know, I've always gotten a ton of value out of these events. And you meet new people, you have a good time, you get out of your
Mhm.
business for a little bit, and then you kind of feel recharged to go back and make some positive change.
Right.
So, Victoria, before we wrap, we always end with our fast five. So I'm going to hit you with 5 rapid
Oh,
fire
you didn't give me
questions.
warning on this. We always warn people on ours. Come on,
I know.
man.
I like to throw the curveballs. All right. First question is favorite business book and why?
Gosh, Crucial Conversations, because it gives you almost a script for how to deal with challenging conversations that you have to have with people. That one.
Cool. Good one. All right. Next question is who is the most inspirational person in your life?
Probably my mom. She was the breadwinner. She was the career woman, and she's 98 years old right now, and she still rides a
Awesome.
stationary bike 20 minutes a day.
That's awesome. Well, that's probably a big part of why she's 98. So
Exactly.
that's super cool. All right. If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
Invisibility,
Ooh. All right. Why is that?
just so I can listen in, find out what's really going on, hear the scoop. Nobody would know. I like that idea.
I like it. I like it. All right. Describe yourself in 3 words.
Enthusiastic, optimistic, trusting.
I would agree with those, having known you for a little bit
Thank
now.
you very much. It'd be pretty bad if you didn't, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's true. All right. Final question. If you could leave our listeners with one piece of advice, what would that be?
Oh boy. And this is going to sound trite as all get out, and I'm sure they've all heard it 16 bazillion times, but learn to understand your business numbers. Understand where you are. Just learn them. Accept it as part of your responsibility as a business owner, business person.
Good advice. Good advice. Well, Victoria, thanks so much for joining me. And yeah, we'll see you at the summit.
All right. Thanks, Spencer. Appreciate it.